They've recognized news and it's time for the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages of the papers. And as we usually do here, we start with our sister publication, ThisDay. ThisDay has on its front page, World Bank, 4 million more Nigerians pushed into poverty in first 6 months. And some writers there, it says 7.1 million more to join if subsidy removal is not properly managed. 6 new social compact to protect poor and most vulnerable. Savings from subsidy removal to surpass 11 trillion by 2025. Explains fresh $500 million for Nigeria. OT, marking the Quarter profile perspectives on sustainable post-subsidy management. All right, let's look at some other stories. At Salah, Tinubu greets Muslims, promises security and economic reforms, and just above that is EU presents final report on Nigeria's general election. You can find it on page 41. Above the nameplate, to mitigate related risks, CBN sets limits for contactless payment transactions. And just below that, Shatima helped to fast-track access to single-digit loans to MSMEs. That's for the ThisDay.
All right, the Punch newspaper this morning, leading story, subsidy removal. Poor Nigerians will hit 101 million without palliatives. That's coming from the World Bank. Some writers there, governors, IMF-backed subsidy removal, demand cash transfer scheme for poor Nigerians. Meanwhile, CBN measures failed to tackle inflation in the first 6 months of 2023. This is also coming from the World Bank, as they've said that about 7.1 million poor Nigerians would become poor if the federal government fails to compensate or provide palliatives for them following the removal of fuel subsidy. Now, according to the World Bank data, we already have 89.89 million Nigerians who were poor at the beginning of this year, and an additional 4 million from the first 6 months will then make it 93.8 million from the World Bank data. More headlines on the front of the Punch this morning. Tinubu, can governors preach tolerance at Salah as they begin celebrations today? Just at the bottom there, federal government banks plan special ID cards for senior citizens. And the red strip there, lawless soldiers shoot Ogun driver for parking beside company. Meanwhile, APC caucus NEC meeting will now be on July 10th and 11th. Above the nameplate of the Punch this morning, DSS alert military police deploy teams in prayer grounds. And also Naira devaluation, expect price hike. That's coming from the telcos. This and more on the front on the Punch this morning.
Well, The Guardian is leading with the inflation and subsidy removal consequences and how many Nigerians will become poorer. It says it's 7.1 million, and it says his families face 5,700 Naira monthly loss. There's a pictorial image of the map there with the multidimensional poverty index by states in 2022. Just basically breaking down that story that is recurring on the front pages of the national dailies today, The Guardian doing that job. Well, other stories there, lobbyists storm borderline for ministerial appointment. For those who do not know, that's the street where President Bola Tinubu, I don't know if he still stays there, but that's where he used to stay in Lagos. 2 other stories right there. Akpabio, Atiku Khan, others advocate peace, sacrifice for national development. Despite hitches, Nigerians joined 2 million pilgrims pray at Mount Arafat. Indeed. Beware kidnappers of students on the prowl, says The Guardian. Motorists to pay 1,000 naira for proof of ownership certificate from July. I'm still yet to get around the story. How does 1,000 naira protect my car? Finally, on the front of The Guardian this morning, Salah, Katsina governor rejects 100 rams for philanthropists. For details of that story and more, you could pick up a copy of The Guardian this morning.
He should go and give it to people who need it. Probably that's why he's rejecting it. All right, let's look at the Daily Sun and see what it is saying. Akpabio's choice of aides, northern senators are grumbling, accuses Senate President of snubbing regional selection of personnel staff. Just beside the logo of Daily Sun, Ekweremadu Ohaneze, whose British envoy, pleads for leniency for ex-senator in his travels. Leading Nigeria, one of hardest life challenges. This is coming from the former president, Muhammadu Buhari. And drivers are blocking Enugu State Road over drivers' passengers' abduction. Elections. EU recommends reform of INEC. 5 other areas. 101 violent incidents. 74 fatalities recorded during campaigns. And court dismisses Premier Academy suit seeking to stop investigation into death of 14-year-old student. And then just below, just in that picture, it has the Rams awaiting buyers. Rams are awaiting buyers. They're not seeing buyers. Tinubu governors Atiku Rep Speaker Fayemi kneels. DG hail Muslim faithful. High cost of ram foodstuff transportation affect celebration. And then a sad news, fire raises NLC President Ajay Rose's home in Lagos. You can find that on page 4. That's from the Daily Sun.
The Nigerian Tribune this morning. Leading headline, impunity, lack of transparency, mad 2023 elections. Okay, we don't have that, but that's the leading headline on the front of the Nigerian Tribune. Impunity, lack of transparency, mad the 2023 elections, and that's coming from the EU.
Well, let's go to the foreign papers now. A number of those papers lead with Matt Hancock's appearance before the COVID inquiry on Tuesday. The Daily Express quotes Mr. Hancock saying, "I want to be brutally honest with the public." You recall the former Health Secretary Hancock resigned in 2021 after being caught kissing an aide in breach of lockdown rules in the UK. That's the front page of the Daily Express.
All right, let's look at the I paper. Putin's, the IDIS paper, the I. Do we have that? Well, I'll go ahead until we get it on screen. Putin's plane flies Russian diplomats home from America. Operation delays loom as NHS consultants to strike in same week as junior doctors. That's from the I newspaper.
The Financial Times this morning, still on Putin as he admits Kremlin paid billions to bankroll Wagner's paramilitaries. Some riders there forced completely financed by Russia. Prigozhin in Belarus, that's from Minsk, and loyalists bridle at climb down. More headlines from the Financial Times. The Ode Group in talks on shifting 4 funds to boutique firm SW Mitchell.
Well, according to the Guardian UK, public body tasked. We don't have the Guardian UK? Okay.
Do we have the
Yes, we do have the Guardian. Well, the Guardian,
Okay.
public body tasked with advising the government on addressing climate change, has said the UK is missing its net zero target on almost every front. That's the boldest headline on the front page of the Guardian this morning. But there are other stories. A quick run through. Exiled boss of Wagner fighters arrive in Belarus, talking about Prigozhin there. And senior NHS doctors to strike in July over pay dispute, but never over the industrial action in the health sector in the UK, really. Those are some of the front pages on the Guardian today.
All right, let's look at the Independent newspaper. All right, it says ex-health secretary's astonishing confessions. Hancock, body bag COVID strategy was completely wrong, with some riders. Matt Hancock says focus was on burying dead, not stopping the virus. There was no plan for lockdown or protection of care homes. He didn't attend a single Security Council planning meeting. He blames lack of basic data and Brexit for lack of resources. He's profoundly sorry, but knows that's hard for families to take. And the question of there was no plan for lockdown or protection of care homes at the top mast there. You see, London Mayor candidate reported claim he groped TV executive in number 10, but Tories backed him anyway. And that picture of a woman there not accepting the MP's apology because her husband, Marcelo Vincent, died of COVID.
I think our last international paper this morning, the Daily Telegraph, its leading headline this morning, doctors on £100,000 to walk out overpay the NHS in uncharted territory as consultants vote to strike and demand 35% increase. More headlines there. Lockdowns must come earlier. That's coming from Hancock. Meanwhile, MPs say cut carbon tax on bills. That's from the Daily Telegraph.
Well, that's the press review this morning. You can share your views on all the burning issues. You can just follow us on Twitter @AriseTV.